The project, we're deciding to go younger again, and put them in, but get them on a 2-year contract, and they buy into the whole thing. And
it's creating assets as well.
Yeah.
You know, we spoke, didn't we? And I said, if Derry City can sell players, if Bohemians can sell players, if Shelbourne can sell players, why can Harps not produce and sell our own players?
Yeah.
And that's another area where we're looking at it and going, we've got a great academy.
Yeah.
You know, we've got that pathway now where you've seen me. I've no fear in play. If you're old enough, you're good enough.
Yeah.
And if you're good enough, you're old enough in my eyes. So for me, it's giving them. You're only going to see if a young player is good enough by having managers and coaches who are brave enough to go, I trust you, go and play. Yeah. And that's when you figure out if they've got that game intelligence where they can keep stepping up. And we're prepared to do it. I'm prepared to do it.
But then we talked about, you know, creating that culture. How do you create a culture, an environment where a young player is going to achieve his potential? Well, first of all, it's the extra training sessions, because other people are doing them now. So, what's about 5 a week, some days a week? It depends on it.
Yeah.
And then there's the gym work on top of that.
But the morning sessions, it's hybrid morning sessions, which means it's open to our academy players as well, the 19s, the 17s. If they're off school, they're more than welcome to come in, because it happens in the UK, where you have your players who, when they're on a school holiday, will come in. I had it at Forest when I was under 21s manager, where we'd have some under 16s and under 17s that would come in and train, and, you know, and do hybrid mornings with us. But you're only going to get better by being on the field, you know, and giving them that attention, individual sessions, unit sessions, and making them feel comfortable where they can go on and develop and progress. And that's what we've introduced this year, and it's been really, really good.
They are so young, and
Yeah.
you did seem to be playing the long game, you know, and like looking for results down the line. Are you happy with progress so far, or is this what you envisaged when you started?
I think where we are now, I think, is probably where we'd expected. I wouldn't have put us any higher, and I definitely wouldn't have put us any lower. But I think where we finished the first block of 9 games, let's say, is probably about right for me, because, like I said, you've 12 to 14 players that have never experienced senior or first team football. So it was always going to take that bedding in period where you've got, and again, they're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but it's how you respond from that. If you learn from them, and we can see every day in training and every game, they're learning from the mistakes. I mean, there's times, and Darren Murphy, my assistant, was brilliant at it. He says, Gaffer, sometimes we'll be brilliant for 45 minutes and then it drops off for the next 45. So our challenge point to the players is, can we perform for 90 minutes? You know what I mean? So when you look at it then, you look at the Treaty United game, that's probably the first game we've actually performed at the same consistency for 90 minutes. Now again, that's against the team. And Tommy's a good guy and a good friend of mine, and what he's done there on limited resources is phenomenal as well. But they've been together for 4 or 5 years. So if you look in the first division, most of these teams have a base of players that have been together. You know, 12 to 15 players that have all been together.
So they become a family?
Absolutely. So they only need to add 2, 3, 4 every season. Me and Darren came in on the 1st of December, had 1 player, Ryan Rainey. You know, so, and that's absolutely fine. But what you do then is you go and you work to your resources and you say, okay, that's the challenge, not a problem. We face it head on. But this community needs to have a bond with its players. And that was the biggest thing for me.
And do you find that that's happening now?
Absolutely.
It seems to be happening at the games anyway. Absolutely.
And listen, I think you've only got to see when we're away from home, when we're at home, the players and the fans now have there's a togetherness there. And that's the way it should be. For a club like Finn Harps, it should be like that, because it's a community-based football club. I think another thing as well, do you know that we're only 1 game defeat in the last 8 games? You know, not bad for a new team that was only put together in January.
Yeah. Just on that, Dave, 2 wins in a row, 2 home games coming up. You know, it will give the players great belief, and there's nothing like a bit of a momentum hopefully we could be here on Monday evening with 4 wins in a row. I mean, you're only taking 1 game in our hand, but, you know, the season has, you know, it's really suddenly kicked off, and no doubt we'll get 2 good crowds this weekend, and, you know, that's great for everybody, isn't it? Just that's as a confidence booster going into the game.
Chris, I think what it's done for the players, and again, I spoke about that bedding in period from the beginning of the season, the first block of games, but I think what it's done for the players is showing them that they've nothing to fear. You know, like I said, they've come together as there's a real unity between that group of players and the staff, let me say. There's a real unity, there's a real togetherness, and, you know, I tell them always, I'll take all the flack. I'm big enough, I'm ugly enough, I'm brave enough, I've thick skin. I wouldn't be a manager if I didn't want to deal with stuff like that. I loved it as a player, and it's water off a duck's back to me. But for my players, I just want them to focus on playing football and doing it the right way. And I think that, honestly, I'm really proud of the fan base that we've got. And you touched on it about there's a real bond, and it's getting bigger and bigger week by week. Win, lose or draw. I think all our fans want to see is the players playing for the badge. And they're now seeing a group of young, hungry, energetic players who take pride in playing for Harps Football Club, and who really want to take this club back where it belongs, but doing it the right way. I mean, I think if any of you are honest enough, you'll sit there now and you'll agree with me that, tell me 1 game of football where my team have sat back this season. We don't sit back. It doesn't matter who we're playing against, we'll not sit back. We'll be on the front foot, we try and win every game of football. Has there been games that we could have been a little bit more intelligent with our decision making? Absolutely. But you're going to get that with young players who will learn, grow and keep developing. But like you said, Chris, it's, you know, Merv said it to me, we spoke about it a couple of days ago, 1 defeat in 8 games, you know, so you build that momentum. But trust me, there is no easy games in this league. Absolutely not. And if you take your foot off the pedal, you can be punished. And one thing the boys know is that I demand maximum effort. It's a non-negotiable for me. Maximum effort, otherwise they won't play. But we get that in abundance of this group.
And the thing that is, I've been saying it in the office.
Yeah, you have. I was going to mention it, but I'll let you say it yourself.
The thing that really impresses me is that the team love Dave Rogers. Because seriously, they're like a family, and they go over and they hug you and everything. And I've never seen it before at the Harps, where, you know, the team are going over and it is like a family, you know, like a unit, as you say.
And you know what? And again, thank you for noticing that. That I appreciate that. I'm a player's manager. I've been a player. I've been on the other side. I've been on the side as a player where, you know, you might not get treated the right way by a certain manager or a certain coach, and you learn throughout my whole career. I've learned from the best, and I've also learned from the worst as well, you know. And I've always took pride in my man management, should we say, my player management. And I feel players, listen, sometimes as a manager in any business, you've got to show your teeth, you've got to demand a lot more, and we've had those little conversations. But the boys know my door's always open. They can talk to me about normal life. You know, we care about their families, we care about their well-being, and you know, if anybody needed to ever question player commitment for this group of players in this club, I've only got to look at Tim Hyman, our goalkeeper. You know, it was a sad day away at Kerry when his grandfather passed away, and I was trying to get him home and missed the game, and he was adamant. He didn't want to let his teammates down, didn't want to let the fans down, and he didn't want to let me down. And I'm like, Tim, he's like, Gaffer, no. You know, so those little things is what makes culture.
Yep.
That's how you create culture. And again, the biggest plus for me is the fans, home and away. Whether it's 10 fans who travel to Wexford, you know, we will go over to them, win, lose or draw, and show them that we care about them, because they're spending their hard-earned money to come and support the team that they love.
So Dave, looking at the 2 games this weekend, you know, what are you saying to your players? Is this an opportunity to follow up on the last 2 good results and, you know, keep this good run going?
What we say to them, Chris, is what we say when we go into every game, is just go and play on the front foot and be positive, be together, don't be overconfident, but just be ready for the challenge ahead. We try and win every game of football, and again, it's a cliche, I know that, one game at a time, but that's the way it has to be. It was like that when I was a player, and it's like that since I've been a manager for the last 11, 12 years, that you can't look any further than your next opponent. We go from Longford, you know, big game Friday, and then you go into a quick turnaround against Athlone. Athlone, I think they were 4-0 down against Waterford, and they get 3 back. So it just shows you that, you know, if you're not switched on, if you're not prepared, and you're not giving teams the respect that they deserve, then you'll be punished. So for us, it's again just approaching the Longford Town game first and foremost. We'll welcome Stephen and Gavin and all their players and fans, and we expect a really tough game, because they will come to Finn Park and try and make it difficult. From our standpoint, it's another opportunity to keep gaining momentum. And yeah, you know, there's 3 points at stake. We want to try and win 3 points, but we'll just go and enjoy the game. Hopefully, and I know there will be another fantastic atmosphere from our fans. I know it's a bank holiday weekend, but it's getting a little bit lighter during the nights now, and you know, it's been a little bit drier, the weather. Hopefully the rain might stay away, and it might entice a few more fans to really come out and get behind the players, which they've done in abundance from the first minute I walked in the door.
And aside from Keith Cowan, are you pretty much near full strength in terms of selection?
Yeah, we 1 or 2 little checks. We're pretty much back to full strength, which is great, because again, that's what I want. I want players really pushing each other. I don't want players thinking that, you know, that any place in the team is a given. I want these lads really knocking on the door and showing me and Murph and the staff that they want to be in the team. Again, not really one for singling out people, but if you talk about the young lads, and we talk about local talent, Shane McMonagle, to come out the USL and to play and perform the way he's done in the last 2 games has been an absolute credit to him, his family, and a credit to Donegal Soccer, because trust me guys, there is talent out there, and this talent needs to be tapped and needs to be nurtured. And you know, that's another big part of my job, is that we want to get local players who feel that passion for our club and take pride in playing for our club.
Actually compete with yourself.
Yeah, I'm kicking every ball as I'm on the touchline. No, honestly, I'm loving it. I knew what I was walking into when I took the job, and I knew the challenge ahead. I knew the people behind me and next to me were right behind exactly what we want to achieve. Because and again, Aidan is talking about the new stadium. It's no good walking into a new stadium if your infrastructure and your foundations are not in place. Waste of time.
What's the most important, the stadium or the people?
For me, the people.
Yeah.
The people. If you don't have a group of people who appreciate what Donegal stands for, what Finn Harps Football Club stands for, what it means to the people, if you don't have a group going into that new stadium, when it does arrive, and it will arrive, who've not tasted the tradition and the history of Finn Park, and the tradition and the history and the successes of past players and volunteers and staff members. And
you used to play at Finn Park when we had 2,000 plus with that good team in the 90 and 2000, didn't you?
And and Aidan probably might not remember me, but I'd always walk through the door into that little away dressing room and then go into the glass room and have a cup of tea.
That's right.
Always, whenever I came here, and they're the memories for me. Even before I took the job, that I'm in my head, I'm going, I remember having a cup of tea and saying hello to everyone, and little Ronan, you know, sadly, I remember Ronan all them years, happy face, smiling into, you know, as you're walking in. They're the things that I want our players to feel and appreciate, and I think that's been lost at this club for long periods of time. I want to bring it back, and I think we've got the right people to bring it back.
We're really happy with where we're at. We would like, ideally, to add a couple more experienced players. Of course we would. Of course you would. Who doesn't want quality and a bit of experience? But it's getting the right player, isn't it?
I won't bring any player to this club that is not committed to being in Donegal. Fact, I could have brought numerous players that you all probably have heard of, who are like, oh, if I just come and train on a Thursday and play on a Friday, no chance. It's not going to happen under me. And if I ever get told that has to happen, I'm out the door, because I don't believe in that. I believe in creating the environment of people who only want to be here for the right reasons, and that's the direction that we're going in. Do you know, if you talk about progress as well, and sometimes again people get sort of bewildered with results, and that's rightly so. But if you look at the progress, look at the amount of debuts that we've made this year. Look at the amount of academy players that have come through the pathway and played in the first team. Look at Dahi McCallion being selected for the Northern Ireland under-19s. If Dahi McCallion wasn't playing for Finn Harps' first team, he wouldn't have got selected for the 19s at Northern Ireland. So that's testament to not just to me, it's testament to everyone connected with our club, because that's the direction that we want to go in. We want to create that feel-good factor within the club, and you know. So again, you know, I mentioned it there. There's only Kerry. Sorry, Aidan. There's only Kerry, who I think by 0.1% have got younger players than what we've got. So that's, for me, when we measure success, that's part of the process, you know, and that needs to keep getting better and stronger, and then everything else will all build up and come on top of that.
Do you think the first division, you know, you coming in this season, the standard, has it been higher or lower, or is it pretty much what you would have thought? And do you think it gets enough credit? I mean, there's some people who kind of dismiss it a bit because it's the first division. I won't go up, I'll only watch Harps in the Premier. I mean, would you be picking that up as well?
Chris, I have to say I've been pleasantly surprised by the quality in the first division. I really have. And look, I've followed the league. The league's been superb to me and my family since I came here in 2001. And I've watched a lot of games over the years, and I have seen the first division going back 5-6 years ago, where you're looking at the quality and you're thinking, you know, facilities even need to improve. But I have to say, this league this year, even though, you know, the two at the top are really doing well, on the day, any team in this league is capable of beating anybody, and that's an absolute fact. There's a lot of hungry, probably a lot of young, hungry players who have a point to prove, that maybe have been at a Derry City or a Shamrock Rovers or a Dundalk, you know, and have gone out on loan because they want to show the manager at the club they've come from, listen, I'm ready, I want to play. Lads that have maybe gone to England or Scotland or abroad and it's not worked out, and they've come back and they've not been able to get a Premier League club, they've fallen into the first division. But what they've done is, like I said, you know, there's a real work ethic from every team that we've come up against. Honestly, not one game is an easy game, and if you're not on form and you're not ready to punish teams when you get the chance to, they'll punish you if you're not switched on. So absolutely, it's a strong league. It's great for the League of Ireland that it is a strong league, and hopefully that'll continue for both divisions, because it's only going to make League of Ireland football a much more appetite and feast for the fans who've been brilliant this year.